Imagine a world where money has no value, where time is everything. In this world, if you want to buy something, you have to pay with your own life, literally giving away minutes, hours, or years of your existence. But here's the catch. To live a good life in this world, you need to have time. Because when a person turns 25, a one-year countdown starts on their arm. The moment that countdown hits zero, that person dies. The rich had so much time they could live for 1,000 years. They'd created their own separate world, a place where they lived in peace and luxury. But on the other side, in the slums of Ghetto City, poor people worked day and night just to earn enough time to survive. Otherwise, imagine a world where money has no value, where time is everything. In this world, if you want to buy something, you have to pay with your own life, literally giving away minutes, hours, or years of your existence. But here's the catch. To live a good life in this world, you need to have time. Because when a person turns 25, a one-year countdown starts on their arm. The moment that countdown hits zero, that person dies. The rich had so much time they could live for 1,000 years. They'd created their own separate world, a place where they lived in peace and luxury. But on the other side, in the slums of Ghetto City, poor people worked day and night just to earn enough time to survive. Otherwise, their lives would simply end. In this poverty-stricken neighborhood lived a young man named Will. His clock showed only 23 hours remaining. Will lived with his mom. And here's something strange. Since everyone stops aging at 25, his mother was 50 years old but looked incredibly young. Today was his mom's 50th birthday. Will had worked overtime the night before to buy a bottle of champagne to celebrate. Seeing this, his mother's face lit up with joy. She told him, "I want to see my grandchildren. Why don't you date someone?" Will replied with a tired smile. "Who has time for all that?" His mom then said, "I need to pay the electricity bill and the bank loan by tomorrow's deadline. Otherwise, we'll face penalties. So I'm leaving now and I'll be back tomorrow night after clearing all the bills and loans." She continued, "I only have 3 days of time. After paying the electricity bill and bank loan, I'll have used up almost all my time. So tomorrow evening, please wait for me at the bus stop so I can transfer some time from you before mine runs out." Will agreed. "Okay, I'll be there on time." Before leaving, Will's mom touched his arm and transferred 30 minutes into his body so he could buy a decent breakfast. After this, both went their separate ways. On his way, a little girl approached Will. She gave him a capsule and asked for some of his time. Will smiled and gave the little girl 5 minutes of his life in the capsule, and she walked away. This is when we learned that people can store their time in capsules, which they can use and transfer whenever needed. Will then headed to the factory for work. Before starting, he went to get coffee. But there, he noticed that the price of everything had doubled. Where coffee used to cost 2 minutes, the price had now doubled to 4 minutes. Here, prices could be increased at any time without any announcement. This infuriated Will. Reluctantly, he paid 4 minutes of his life for coffee and back to work. After a full day's work, Will went to a bar that night with his friend. His friend was a serious alcoholic, always drunk. Will's friend gestured toward a man, telling him he was buying everyone free drinks and had a lot of time. When Will looked at the man, he was surrounded by girls. When Will glanced at the man's clock, he had 116 years. Will immediately understood this man was from Greenwich City, because in Ghetto City, people had at most 2 days of time. Will approached the man and warned him, "You shouldn't be here. There are thieves around. They'll kill you and steal your time. Leave quickly." But the man didn't take Will's words seriously and ignored him, continuing to drink. Just then, a gangster named Fortis entered the bar with his crew. Seeing him, everyone ran out. These were the city's biggest thugs who forcibly stole time from people. Will's friend grabbed him to leave, but Will refused and hid in a corner to watch everything. Fortis had come to rob the rich man of all his time. He challenged the rich man, "Let's arm wrestle. Whoever loses gives all their time to the winner." This time fight was like arm wrestling where 2 people had to grip each other's wrists. Whoever's wrist went down would start losing time, which would transfer to the person whose wrist was up. This way, the winner would store all the time in their body and kill the other person. Fortis asked, "Are you ready for this?" The rich man replied, "I've had too much to drink. I need some time. Then I'll be ready for your challenge." Fortis said, "Fine, that's your last wish. Go, I'll give you a few minutes to prepare." Fortis sent one of his men with him so he couldn't escape. The rich man went to the bathroom and started vomiting heavily because he was very drunk. If he fought Fortis in this condition, he would definitely lose. Just then, Will appeared. He knocked out Fortis's man, rescued the rich man, and brought him to a safe place. Will asked, "I told you your life was in danger. Why are you deliberately wasting your time?" Henry introduced himself as Henry and asked Will, "How old are you?" Will answered, 28 years. Henry said, "I'm 105 years old, and I'm tired of living. I've enjoyed everything in life, and now I don't need this life anymore. I don't want to live." Surprised, Will asked, "What exactly are you trying to say?" Henry replied, "It seems you're still unaware of the reality. Have you ever thought about why different time zones were created in this world? Why prices and taxes are increased in your ghetto time zone at any time?" He continued, "Actually, inflation is deliberately increased so that poor people keep dying and their deaths benefit the rich people of Greenwich time zone. In reality, this entire system is created by them. Think about it. There, in Greenwich, people have thousands of years to live. But here in Ghetto, you work hard every day to survive. This is because they've forced you to do this. They don't want to give you more time so that you're forced to work for them. They increase inflation to force you to spend more and more time so they can live forever from your time. They have collected every single day of their lives from the deaths of poor, helpless people, and I absolutely don't want to live a life that came from some poor, helpless person's death." Hearing all this, Will understood that Henry was a very kind-hearted person. Henry then asked Will, "If you had as much time as me, what would you do?" Will smiled and said, "First, I'd stop constantly checking the time." At that moment, Will only had 18 hours left. He checked his clock constantly, before sleeping, after waking up, while eating, because he was afraid his time would run out and he would die. Will continued, "My mom works very hard to manage the household. If I had as much time as you, I'd buy a nice house in Greenwich City for my mom, and we would both live there happily." Will then said, "Tonight, we need to stay here. By morning, the danger will pass, then you can return home." After this, both of them fell asleep. In the morning, Henry woke up and saw Will was still sleeping. He went to Will and transferred all his time to him, keeping only a few minutes for himself. Then he went and sat on a bridge. When Will woke up from sleep, he saw that Henry had left. As always, after waking up, Will looked at his clock. 116 years had been added to Will's clock. His eyes went wide open with shock. He thought he was still asleep and dreaming. Then Will's eyes fell on the window where it was written, "Don't waste my time." He understood that Henry had given him all his time. Just then, Will saw Henry sitting on the edge of a bridge in the distance. Will quickly ran towards Henry, but it was too late. Henry only had a few seconds left, and moments later he died with a jerk and fell from the bridge into the water below. Will was deeply saddened by Henry's death. Now Will had 116 years of life, and he understood that if he stayed there, people would think he killed Henry. Will quickly went to his friend's place. His friend was shocked seeing so much time on Will's arm. Then Will gave his friend 10 years out of friendship. His friend thanked him from the bottom of his heart. Will said, "It's not safe for me to stay here anymore. With this much time, anyone could kill me to steal it. Now I can buy a nice house in Greenwich City for my mom, and we can both live there happily." After this, Will said goodbye to his friend and left. He went straight to the bus stop where his mom had told him 2 days ago that she would arrive after paying the electricity bill and bank loan. On the other side, after paying all the loans and bills, Will's mom boarded the bus to return home. But then she learned that the bus ticket price had doubled in just 1 day. Where the ticket used to cost 1 hour, the price had now doubled to 2 hours. Seeing this, Will's mom became very worried because she only had 1.5 hours left. Will's mom requested the bus driver, saying her son would give her the remaining time at the next stop, but the bus driver flatly refused and said, "If you don't have time, then walk." But Will's mom knew the next bus stop was very far. Even if she walked, it would take her 2 hours to get there. Many passengers were on the bus. Will's mom requested them too, but no one helped her. Just then, the bus left. Rachel, Will's mom, didn't have much time left, so she started running on foot towards home. On the other side, Will was waiting at the bus stop with a bouquet of flowers for his mom, because today he had to celebrate her birthday. When the bus arrived at the stop, several passengers got off, but Will's mom was not among them. Seeing this, Will became worried and understood his mom must be in trouble. He immediately ran searching for her. Meanwhile, Rachel only had a few minutes left. She was banging on car windows and house doors on the road, asking people to lend her some time. But no one was willing to help. When Will went a little further, he saw his mom running. Seeing her running, Will understood she didn't have much time left. He extended his hand and started running quickly toward her. Rachel now had only 10 seconds left. She was also running at full speed toward Will. But just as Rachel reached her son, Will, her time ran out, and she died. Seeing this, Will was devastated because he had thought of so much for his mom. He screamed and cried. By the next morning, the timekeepers had found Henry's dead body and were investigating the scene.
In today's world, timekeepers were like police whose job was to stop crime. Timekeeper Officer Raymond thoroughly examined the scene, but found no clues. Then, Raymond's eyes fell on a CCTV camera near the bridge. He headed to the CCTV room to check the footage. On the other side, Will understood that the rich people living in Greenwich were responsible for his mother's death. They had made the people of Ghetto City desperate for every single second. Now Will was heading toward Greenwich to take revenge. And this is where the real story begins. To enter Greenwich City, Will had to spend 1 year of time, and he reached Greenwich City. When Will saw the lifestyle of rich people there, his eyes went wide. People there had so much time, they had forgotten about death. Even the bodyguards of rich people had more than 100 years of time. Seeing this, Will turned red with anger, because in the city Will came from, people only had 24 hours of life. Will stayed in an expensive hotel. While eating, a very beautiful girl looked at Will, as if she liked him. On the other hand, timekeeper Raymond was checking the CCTV footage from Henry's death. Then he saw Will in the footage. Although the camera hadn't recorded Henry falling from the bridge, Will was visible standing near the bridge, which made Raymond suspicious of Will. So Raymond asked his team to gather information about Will. During research, the timekeepers learned that a man named Will had entered Greenwich City by spending a lot of time. This confirmed Raymond's belief that Will had killed Henry. Raymond immediately headed toward Greenwich City with his team. On the other hand, in Greenwich City, Will came to a casino where some rich people were playing poker. Will sat with them too. Seeing a new person, these people started laughing at him. But Will was an expert at gambling. Today was the best opportunity for him to take money from the rich. Will played a poker bet with a wealthy man named Philippe. Philippe was the richest person there. He had his own time bank that gave loans of time to people. Philippe's daughter was also sitting with him. This was the same girl who had been watching Will closely earlier. When the game started, Will bet all his life's time and, using his intelligence, won 1,100 years from Philippe. Seeing this, Philippe's daughter Sylvia became quite impressed with Will. She invited Will to a party at her house the next night. The next evening, Will bought a brand new car and went to Philippe's party. During the party, Will and Sylvia started dancing, and Sylvia had silently given her heart to Will. She was about to tell Will about her feelings when timekeeper Raymond arrived with his team and arrested Will. Thinking Will was a murderer, Sylvia also became angry with him. Raymond first took all of Will's time, leaving him only 2 hours. Then he was about to arrest Will for Henry's murder. Raymond asked Will, "Why did you kill Henry?" Will told him, "I didn't kill him. He didn't want to live. That's why he gave me 116 years, and later he took his own life." But Raymond didn't believe Will's words. Will understood that Raymond would frame him in Henry's false case and put him in jail for life. So seizing an opportunity, he attacked Raymond's men, freed himself, took their gun, and took Sylvia hostage. Using Sylvia as a shield, Will escaped with her, gave Raymond and his men the slip, and returned to Ghetto City. During this time, Will had very little time left. He asked Sylvia for some time, but Sylvia refused to give him even a second because she also thought he was Henry's killer. So he drove faster toward Ghetto City to borrow time from someone there. In his hurry, he didn't notice the barbed wire fence laid on the road ahead. Hitting it, Will's car fell off the bridge. In this accident, Will and Sylvia became unconscious. Actually, those thorns on the road had been placed by Fortis and his gang. Fortis saw that Sylvia had 10 years of time. he stole all of Sylvia's time and left. Soon, Will and Sylvia regained consciousness. When Sylvia looked at her arm, she was worried because she only had 30 minutes left, and Will also had a few minutes. But still, he gave Sylvia some of his minutes, equalizing their time. After this, Will quickly took Sylvia to his friend's house, to whom he had given 10 years. When his friend's wife opened the door and saw Will, she angrily said, "The 10 years you gave took my husband's life. He wasted all the time on alcohol, which killed him." Hearing this, Will became disappointed. But now neither of them had much time left. If they didn't do something quickly, their death was certain. Just then, Will noticed the diamond earrings in Sylvia's ears. Selling them, Will and Sylvia got 2 days of time. After this, Will took Sylvia to a phone booth. He called his father, Philippe, and told him his daughter was safe so far. At that time, Raymond was also present with Philippe, and Will knew Raymond was there too. Will demanded 10,000 years in exchange for releasing Sylvia, and asked that the 10,000 years be distributed among the poor through the time bank, giving until tomorrow morning. Although for Philippe this amount was nothing, Philippe didn't want to give time to the poor at any cost. Meanwhile, Will brought Sylvia to his home, where both were waiting for morning. During this time, Sylvia asked Will where his family was. Will told her his mother had died last night due to lack of time. Hearing this, Sylvia felt very bad and realized that poor people here live in fear of death every moment. How hard they have to work to earn just 1 day of time. The next morning, as soon as the bank opened, Will and Sylvia watched from the window, but the bank didn't distribute time among the poor. Seeing this, Sylvia became very disappointed that for her father, even his own daughter had no value compared to time. Now Sylvia understood that her father wasn't just a businessman, he was the head of this system. He collected years of his life from the deaths of poor people. Seeing Sylvia so disappointed, Will decided to send her back to her home. He brought her to the phone booth and told her to call her father for help. During this time, Will also gave Sylvia a weapon so she could protect herself. Meanwhile, Sylvia was talking to her father on the phone when timekeeper Raymond quietly arrived and pointed his gun at Will. Raymond was about to shoot Will when Sylvia saw Raymond and in panic shot at Raymond. Seeing this, Will nervously went to Raymond. Although the bullet had just grazed Raymond's arm, a lot of blood was flowing from his hand. Will looked at Raymond's clock. Raymond had only 2 hours left. Actually, timekeepers also received only 1 day of time as salary every day. Will understood that by the time Raymond's team members reached him, Raymond would have died from excessive blood loss. So Will gave Raymond 2 hours and took his car and left. After shooting Raymond, Sylvia was now also on the crime list. Although Will told Sylvia she could still get out of all this, in Greenwich, Sylvia's life was like a caged bird. Her father Philippe had placed many restrictions on her. But coming here, she was experiencing freedom, because here she was her own master. And Sylvia understood that wrong was being done to people here. Now she was also with Will in getting the poor their rights. Will and Sylvia started robbing the rich together. Sylvia, who was familiar with every corner of Greenwich City, made a plan with Will to steal time capsules from banks in Greenwich City and distribute them among the poor. First, Sylvia robbed several banks of her father Philippe. Because Philippe had collected all that time from the deaths of poor people. They packed all the time capsules from the vault into a bag, left, and started distributing them to the poor. After such a big theft, the government was also fed up with both of them, so the government put a bounty of 10 years on their heads. Hearing this news, gangster Fortis started searching for them like a hound. But Will and Sylvia kept changing their location every day, so they
didn't get caught. The two were hiding in a hotel. Since they didn't lack time, they had booked the entire hotel. Fortis arrived outside that hotel searching for them. There, he grabbed some people and started asking them about Will and Sylvia. But those people were very grateful to Will and Sylvia, so these people were ready to die but not ready to reveal Will and Sylvia's location. But when Fortis pressured them too much, one man, out of fear of death, told Fortis about the hotel where Will and Sylvia were hiding. After this, Fortis immediately reached there with his gang and caught them both. Now it was impossible for Will and Sylvia to escape from them. Fortis made Will sit at a table and challenged him to a time fight. Will understood that if he refused the challenge, Fortis's gang members would kill him, so why not try his hand against him today? Fortis and Will gripped each other's wrists, and the death game began. Fortis was an expert player. He immediately brought Will's hand down, causing Will's time to rapidly transfer to Fortis. But Will wasn't applying any force at all, as if he was deliberately losing. But just as Will had 3-4 seconds of his life left, Will showed his power and with one jerk brought Fortis's hand down. Fortis's eyes went wide. He was applying full force trying to bring his hand up, but he had weakened before Will's strength. Seeing this, Fortis's men's attention stuck on Fortis's clock. Now their boss was going to die. In the meantime, seizing the opportunity, Will took out a gun from his shoe and in the blink of an eye shot all of Fortis's men, because if he hadn't done this, they would have killed him. With this, Fortis's time became 0 and he was also killed. Will and Sylvia quickly escaped from there. Meanwhile, they saw that the rich had turned the entire game around. Whatever time Will and Sylvia had distributed among the poor had no value because the rich had increased the inflation rate many times over. Seeing this, Will started feeling defeated and thought he could never get the poor their rights. He told Sylvia, "It's all over now. Even if we distribute 1,000 years among people, the rich will increase inflation even more, so people's condition will never improve." Sylvia said, "There must be some way." Will said, "We need to steal millions of years and give them to these people. Only then can we control inflation." Although this wasn't so easy, Sylvia had thought of a plan for this. The very next morning, when Philippe arrived at his office with his bodyguards, Sylvia came there and told her father she wanted to surrender. Then all the guards pointed guns at Sylvia. But just then, Will, who was hiding in guard's clothing, arrived from behind. He put a gun to Philippe's head and made him open the vault door. Will and Sylvia stole a time capsule from Philippe's vault that contained 1,000,000 years. Every single year of this time capsule had come from the deaths of poor people. Will and Sylvia ran away with that time capsule. When Raymond learned about this, he immediately went after Will and Sylvia. When Raymond looked at the clock on his arm, he had less than 1 hour left. He called headquarters and said, "Send me my salary in a capsule, I'm running out of time." But before he could transfer time from the capsule to his body, he saw Will's car, and without transferring time from the capsule to his body, went after them. Because if those 1,000,000 years reached the poor, every single person in the ghetto time zone would become immortal, and the entire system created by the rich would be destroyed. Raymond gave his all to catch Will and Sylvia, but he couldn't stop them. Will and Sylvia gave Raymond the slip, came to Ghetto City, and handed that time capsule to a little girl's hands. They knew Raymond would come straight to Ghetto City after them, so they left that place and went to a deserted area. Meanwhile, they had distributed millions of years among the people of Ghetto City, making them immortal. But both of them had very little time left. Unfortunately, at that very moment, Raymond caught them. Raymond threatened Will, "If your life is dear to you, return all the stolen time." Then Will showed him his clock's time. Will and Sylvia had a few minutes left. Will told Raymond, "You haven't forgotten, have you? Remember when you were dying, I lent you some time. You should return the time to me." Hearing this, Raymond remembered that in the rush to catch Will and Sylvia, he hadn't paid attention to his time. When he glanced at his clock, he only had 5 seconds left, which became 0 in the blink of an eye, and Raymond died. Will and Sylvia had escaped from Raymond, but now both of them also had only 1 minute each. On top of that, there was no one in that deserted area to help them. They could clearly see their death. Both of them disappointedly hugged each other, and then Will noticed Raymond's car. Will ran toward the car, and reaching there, he transferred Raymond's salary time to his clock. After this, he started running towards Sylvia to give her time too. Sylvia also was running quickly towards Will. Sylvia had only a few seconds left. This was exactly the kind of moment when Will had lost his mom. Will had lost his mom, but didn't want to lose Sylvia. Will was very close to Sylvia, but just then Sylvia fell into Will's arms. Luckily, Will had grabbed Sylvia's hand at the right time, saving her life. Thanks to Will and Sylvia, now all the people of Ghetto City had become immortal. They no longer needed to work in factories to earn 1 hour. They all headed towards Greenwich City to fulfill their dreams, causing the entire system created by the rich to fail. And with this, our story comes to an end.